It's time for Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. Sully's College Football Page is brought to you by the Hilltop Bar, Advantage Insurance, Tommy's Express Car Wash, Dwayne's Cover It All, Buck's Golf Shop, Jim Kreshock Jewelry, Big Fat Design, Sun Printing, Lot Nose, the Eye Clinic of Wisconsin, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home, Menstner Hardwoods, Krasowski Dental, the Cloverbelt Credit Union, France Propane, Subway, Webco of Wausau, the Kuhn Hearing Center, Carmelo's and Rip Mountain Golf Course, Joe Rader Towing, the Dirks Group, the Intermission Lounge, the Brokaw Credit Union, Champion Insurance, Trap River Golf Club, Central Wisconsin School of Ballet, Red Clover Market, Mountain Bay Auto Care, Charlie's Bar, the People's State Bank, the Mint Cafe, North End Pub, and the Travel Leaders. It's time now for Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO. And good morning. Welcome to another edition of Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. I am Chad Holmes, joined by the founder and editor of Sully's College Football Page, Dan Sullivan. Sully, good morning.
Good morning, Chad. You got a little bounce in your steps since you're not out doing games till 2 in the morning. So, yeah.
Well, it's the first day of November.
It is.
We turned the calendar yet again, and the stakes get higher and higher, don't they?
They sure do. You know, it's All Saints Day, and fittingly, Boston College and Notre Dame are playing, the two and the only two Catholic schools that play in the FBS. Are hooked up today, so good timing for this game.
Well, before we start talking about the Badgers last week and everything else, there were a number of games this week, and I guess touch briefly on it. A few interesting results. I think finally a good weekend for Bill Belichick, though.
Well, I don't know if you saw last night, but celebrating Halloween, there were literally hundreds of versions of Belichick and his, I don't know her name, that his girlfriend.
Jordan Hudson.
There you go.
Hey, I noticed those pretty girls, you know.
Yeah, I didn't know. I just know she's talked about a lot.
But no. But I mean, for them, they needed that W. Didn't they? So much noise. You know, and again, he's the man that was famous for no distractions.
Yeah, well, you know, he is a distraction. And you know, the other thing, you kind of feel bad for Fran Brown. He is the coach at Syracuse. They took Angeli, the quarterback from Notre Dame, and he got hurt. And they were winning. They were doing pretty well. And then his backup got hurt. So they have been struggling mightily since then, Chad. I think that was their fourth loss in a row, Syracuse, that is.
And something else I wanted to mention is I mentioned to you before we went on about, distractions and Tulane. They have been so good. And John Summerall, their coach, has been talked about as getting an SEC job and maybe even Louisiana State. And then they come out and they just got whooped by Texas San Antonio.
Yeah, you know, and the fact is, when you look at Tulane, I don't think this team is as good as the teams they've had in the past 4 or 5 years even. In that when you look at scores, I mean, they were on life support in a lot of those games, and Summerall found a way to get that done. So I'm with you. I don't think there is a way to prevent some of that stuff seeping in to your program, to your practice, to the games, when you got everybody and their mother talking about your coach is leaving. I think it's a problem.
Any other games you want to touch on before we move on?
Just that game that we just talked about, Tulane, Texas San Antonio was picked to win that league by a number of sources, including, one of the primary preseason publications, Phil Steele. Chad, they have struggled. I mean, but I'll tell you, last night they took their frustration out on Tulane, and Tulane, who has kind of been living a charmed life, they ran into a very frustrated Texas, and it did not turn out very well for them.
Let's turn to the Badgers, and this week, no Badger game, and I mean, it feels like they just had a bye. I mean, it's ridiculous, to be honest with you, the number of byes that are out there right now. It's stretching out the season. You have all these byes.
Yeah, you've got because of the playoffs, they're working that week 0, and then they're extending it a little bit with byes. So every team that I'm aware of has had 2. And, so now you figure you've got a 12-week season with 12 games, and then you get them extended, so the season started August 23rd, and it's going to end December 6th, somewhere in there. And then, of course, that would be the championship weekend. Rivalry weekend is always that Thanksgiving week, and then the first Saturday in December. Then, of course, you got the Army-Navy game, which is on. It used to be the last game of the year, Chad, but then with the FCS tournament starting, and now the bowl games are actually starting. So Army-Navy, both in the American now, but that game is not a conference game.
Right.
Because it's after actually Army won the conference and then got beat by an American team in Navy a week later.
Well, Badgers, let's talk about last week's game. Let's jump in and kind of recap what they've been up to. But I mean, they 21-7. They covered the spread rather easily,
and the defense played well again.
The defense played well, and then finally in the fourth quarter, the long national nightmare came to an end. The Badgers scored after back-to-back shutouts. They were up to their 12th straight quarter. They had not scored, and they finally. And even then, they were down in the goal line, and they fumbled a snap. And I'm thinking, holy cow, they're gonna blow this. So it was like first and goal for the one, and they dropped the snap. They were fortunately able to fall on it. In the end, I mean, yeah, it's. I will say that they went out there for whatever reason. I would say Mike Tressel seems to have the touch in terms of slowing down the Oregon offense. I mean, that's 2 years in a row the Badger defense done a great job against Oregon. I think as good as anybody in the country.
Yeah, and when you think about complementary football, over the years that we've done this, I always think of the Badgers because of that powerful run game. You keep the other offense on the sideline. The defense gets a chance to catch their breath and to get some scullery done. They're talking about what they're seeing, and they've got time. So I think that the job that he has done this year, Tressel, that is better than what we've seen over the years because of the frequency that they have to go back out there. The Badgers in the last 3 weeks, their average score would be 31-2. They're that. They've, in the last 6 games, all losses, they've scored 41 points, Chad, and gave up 181. They're getting beat on an average of about 32-6. And when you consider the history of this program, and every year we were thinking, hey, we got a shot to win 10. We got a shot to get to a New Year's Day 6 bowl, not under the current 12 game. That's changed things. But, those were very realistic goals. Now, it's pretty well determined, although it's not finalized, that for the second year in a row, the Badgers are not going to be bowl eligible.
No, and you can't win without great quarterback play.
Yes.
I mean, that's what they've shown the last 3 years, and I think that is extenuating circumstances for what's happened with Luke Fickell. But why is Danny O'Brien not playing? I don't get this. I don't understand. He was their number 2 guy. He had played for San Diego State last year. He came out. He was the quarterback early on after Edwards got injured, and yet I just wonder. And again, there's reasons for it, I'm sure, but it just seems a bit odd to me that it doesn't feel like you're going with a number 3 quarterback who's a senior who never played. I don't think they ever planned on playing him. It's just odd to me.
Yeah, well, and I mean, look, it's not getting done. I mean, it's not like you're scoring points. Now, we knew this point of the season we were going to run into a lot better programs, a lot better teams. And, we kind of predicted that there were some games on the schedule that were iffy in terms of having a shot to win them. One would have certainly been Washington. Another one, we thought we could beat Maryland, Iowa. And those games really turned into Wisconsin's inability to play with the ball. They offensively, they just don't seem to be able to do anything. So it kind of gets back to your point, Jed. Why are we staying with the guy that clearly not getting it done?
And again, O'Neill's a young guy. He played as a freshman at San Diego State, and now he's a sophomore. And it's hard to figure out, I guess. I mean, it's that's why I'm not getting paid to do it. But I guess it's.
Have you heard any explanation from Fickell or anybody talking about why? Because I really haven't heard.
Yeah, it's an odd situation. So again, I mean, this bye week, there's every time I see a story online about coaches on the hot seat, Luke Fickell's right there. But there is this sense that with all these other coaching changes going on, people are pointing, well, Luke Fickell's not doing as well as this guy or this guy or this guy. But at the same time, it feels like to me that they're not going to make a change, that they don't want to make this payout, that they want to give Fickell every opportunity to work himself out of this.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to, the AD kind of doubled down when he said it's about NIL. Well, it's the chicken and the egg. When you have that kind of product, are you going to be able to go out and get people to support the program with pretty large checks? And so which is it? Do you have to show? And to your point, what are you doing about this? You're in a very bad situation. Okay, we all get it. So what steps are you taking to get us out of them? And simply calling for more money, Chad, I don't know if that's politically the best thing to do.
I mean, and that's the thing. When I actually think about this, it's like all these schools, and they make the change. They're going to, and their ADs and presidents all say we're going to give the resources to win big. I mean, it's like back in the 60s, the arms race. At what point is it worth it? I mean, and again, everybody wants a winning college football team. They want their school to be a winner, but should it be a never-ending amount of money that goes into it? And again, and I don't think, I mean, I mentioned this previously to you, this venture capitalist thing with the Big Ten Conference. I mean, you have 3 major network television contracts, and yet these schools are not able to keep their athletic budgets above water. I mean, there's something wrong here. Is my point, I guess.
And I can tell you who agrees with what you just said is the governor of Louisiana. Now, he is being widely criticized for being involved in this. Okay, I get that. It's not the first time. The West Virginia governor was involved with the App State when they changed their from to Charles Huff, and so it's not the first time. But what he said, personally, I have to tell you, I agree with. He said we need to get rid of these ridiculous buyouts to pay somebody all these dollars for Phelan, and what we need to create within the contract are incentives. Win the conference, get to the playoffs, things that if you do that benefit the program, benefit the people that are dependent on a successful football program in the community.
Sounds wonderful, but if that offer is made to Lane Kiffin, for an example, one of the names being bandied about, no way, he's not going. If you want your guy, unfortunately, the way the system, but maybe it needs somebody to start, I guess.
Yeah, well,
are you willing to have somebody say no to you, I guess is the point.
And I know in capitalism, they don't like collusion where the presidents get together and say, hey, I'll do it if you will. And so you have kind of this sublineal understanding, because otherwise they're going to bankrupt themselves. This is not sustainable. They can't keep doing this. They're going to owe $34 million to their athletes in 2035. It's not sustainable.
And the thing again, I guess the last point I'll make is the more money that comes in, it's never enough.
Yeah.
It's never enough, and that's it's like you would think again if the Big Ten Conference has an NBC and a Fox and a CBS contract for millions and millions of dollars, ultimately into the billions, and you're not able to make it work, and you have to go to a private equity firm to give 10% of your future advertising revenues, there is something really rotten with the system.
Yeah, there is. There is.
And finally, I guess final question here. Will the Badgers win another game this year?
Well, according to Hoyle, although that's more for Euchre, I would say no. I don't see it coming. But, that's why you play the game, turnovers. The best shot they have on paper is Minnesota, but that's over there. And, since PJ has arrived, when he had gotten to town, they had lost 16 of 17. Now I think he's up a game. So he has leveled that kind of spiral, circumstance that Minnesota was in. So at home, well, let's put it this way, Ted. The Badgers will not be favored in their 4 remaining games.
I predict they will beat Washington next week.
Really?
That's my prediction.
Is that game? That is in Madison.
It is in Madison.
Okay.
So we will see. But I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win at least one more game, and I think it'll be next week. And I think they might beat Illinois as well.
Oh, well, I hope you're right on that. The thing is,
I'm optimistic.
Okay, good. Washington is a much different team away from their home stadium. They had won 22 in a row when Ohio State took them down. And they handled Illinois.
And Washington's offense has not been good against either OSU or Michigan. And that's one area that the Badgers do have is defense. And maybe they'll be, and also, I'm hoping that maybe we'll see Danny O'Neal back as a quarterback next week.
Well, it can't be worse.
I mean, you can't go with this guy that's scored 7 points in the last 3 games. It's what is the definition of insanity?
Keep doing the same thing and expect a different result.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, there's a lot of other Big Ten action to come. I mean, the Badgers may be at the bottom of the conference, but there's still a lot of battles near the top of the conference. So we'll talk about what's been going on with the Big Ten Conference, and we'll start off with the teams west of the Mississippi coming up next as we continue here on Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Choose an agency with true 5G coverage. Advantage Insurance of Wausau. Great companies, great agents, great service, great rates, and great claims results. At Advantage Insurance, they support our local community and back you always. Call Advantage Insurance today for all of your insurance needs or go to AdvantageInsuranceWausau.com. They offer top-rated coverage and the best agents that provide you a true 5G experience for the best total coverage for all your insurance needs.
Chief, we've got a situation.
What is it?
Trouble at the naval base, sir. I'll put it on the screen.
Jiminy Christmas, what happened to all our boat covers?
That's not the worst of it, sir.
No!
Afraid so, sir.
Not the boat upholstery, too. All those holes? It looks like Swiss cheese.
It's funny you mention that, sir. We found the culprit.
All right, Mouse, who are you working for? The Russians? Take him to the brig and get Agent Dwayne from CIA on the horn now. Dwayne's covered off. Dwayne speaking. Agent Dwayne, your country needs you. A terrorist mouse has chewed up every single boat cover and piece of upholstery in the Navy.
I'll patch up what I can and replace what I can't.
Agent Dwayne, you're a great American.
Just doing my job.
Boat covers, seat upholstery, camper, deck, or patio awnings. When you need something covered or upholstered, call the CIA. Dwayne's Cover It All. Commercial accounts are welcome. Call or email Dwayne. Visit Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com.
Tommy's Express Car Wash at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston has the tools and experience to keep your car clean inside and out. Our wash packages let you pay for the services you want, including Tommy Garden Body Wax, wheel cleaning and tire gloss, an underbody flush and spot-free rinse. Give your vehicle the cleaning it deserves at Tommy's Express at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston.
It takes a lot to impress us at Jim Krishock Jewelers. I mean, we see gorgeous diamonds, gemstones, and incredible jewelry every day that we've chosen for our selection. But when a diamond jewelry line like this one comes along, well, our eyes really widen up and our mouths drop open and our hearts beat a little faster. Yours will too when you stop in and check out our Fire and Ice collection of diamonds and diamond jewelry. Their slogan is bigger, brighter, whiter. And it's a difference you can see, which is the most important. Each fire and ice diamond is cut to maximize the performance of light coming into and leaving the diamonds to create amazing sparkle and brilliance. So whether you're planning on getting engaged or upsizing your current diamond, or just want something completely new with more sparkle and dazzle than you've ever seen before, stop in and check out our Fire and Ice collection. It's exclusively available right here at Jim Krishock Jewelers at our one and only location on Rib Mountain Drive in Wausau.
Joe Rader Towing in Wausau offers 24-hour-a-day towing, lockout service, and roadside assistance throughout central Wisconsin. You can count on Joe Rader's experienced team to get to you fast. Family owned and operated. When you need a tow, call Joe at 715-212-4762.
The Intermission Bar, located in the heart of downtown Wausau, is a warm, friendly, comfortable spot to enjoy time with old friends and meet new ones as well. Free live music 3 nights a week featuring some of the Midwest's finest talent. The Intermission, a social establishment.
And welcome back. It is Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. With Sully, I'm Chad Holmes. It's time to talk about what is going on in the Big Ten Conference. And, of course, we're into the month of November, and really things are starting to heat up in terms of the conference championship race, and then, of course, trying to get into the college football playoff. How many Big Ten teams will be ultimately involved in the
That's a good question.
in the playoff. But let's talk about the games last week. Indiana, there's no letdown with that team. That's the thing of last 2 years. I mean, whatever Signetti does, he gets his team up every single week. UCLA, who have been a red hot team, came into Bloomington 56-6.
And this is a team that beat Penn State a couple of weeks ago.
Well, they had a 3-game win streak, I think.
They did.
One, yeah.
In fact, Chad, we had talked about last week, if you recall, that they were a win there. They would have got in front of Indiana.
That's
they would have had the
right.
head-to-head.
Right.
And so, yeah, they came into the game 3-1. And I'll tell you, Indiana and Fernando Mendoza, that kid is looking like he might be the best quarterback, not only in the Big Ten, but anywhere.
Boy, Iowa is really turning it around. They're not winning these 15-12 games anymore. They're racking up big wins. They had that huge win over Wisconsin on the road a couple of weeks back, and Minnesota, which had been playing some pretty decent football, and Iowa went in there and just whipped them 41-3. This is a little bit of a different look. And boy, Iowa's got to be kicking themselves for that 20-15 loss to Indiana, or else and that last second 50+ yard field goal against Iowa State. They're that close to being undefeated.
That game was tied late. That Indiana
Iowa State.
Iowa. Yeah, well, the Iowa State game came down to
and the Indiana game. Yep.
Yeah, the Indiana game was tied late as well. The thing about Iowa is the points. Yeah. Where is 41 coming from? Mm-hmm. And Minnesota, if you recall, had just whooped on Nebraska. Yeah. They beat them 24-6. Mm-hmm. So that that's why you and I have talked about over the years. Momentum, I don't believe, goes game to game. I think it's established in each game. Minnesota came in with a lot of momentum, big win over Nebraska. Iowa's a big rival. No, it didn't translate.
And I think Iowa, they're putting themselves back into the mix, and they do have Oregon. If they beat Oregon, they have a chance to put themselves right in that talk again for the playoff.
Chad, you are hitting the ball out of the park. That's a fact. And then they've got SC.
Yeah.
So Iowa... And then they end with Nebraska. So Iowa could end up 10-2. But of all the teams in the Big Ten, they're going to have to earn it.
I know it. Then you have Nebraska beating Northwestern 28-21. It was a nip and tuck game all the way. Nebraska needed it. But I think the big news this week is Nebraska does put all their chips in the middle of the table on Matt Rule.
Yeah, Matt Rule talked about, his affection for the players that he's dealing with now. And I'm sure that's been, I think any of us that have coached, you always have a relationship with your players. I think they needed to put that to rest, or Nebraska's season was at risk. If this kept going,
Mhm.
they were going to lose something that they may be able to turn into a special year, the best year for them in a long while. So I think people got together and now have resolved this Penn State stuff. He's got Nebraska, and I think in the end that's going to be a good thing for everyone.
Michigan beat Michigan State 31-20, and I've been saying to you, and I don't think you believe me, Jonathan Smith's in trouble. And I read another huge article. They are not happy with him, and it's only his second year. But at this point, I think he's on his way out.
Well, I sometimes will get prejudicial if I like a coach. I've always thought.
Well, I don't think a guy in his second year coming into a dumpster fire, that's not really fair. But it seems like he's just not somehow connecting. They don't see the fire, and I think at Michigan State there's a certain type that Mark D'Antonio type that they are not going to be the pretty team in Michigan. Michigan will be the pretty team, the athletic team. There's got to be this grit with Michigan State, and I don't think the people there sense it right now.
Yeah, well, one of my favorite coaches of all time is Duffy Daugherty.
Yeah.
Always him and Johnny McKay, those two guys back in the 60s and, for Duffy in the 50s. They kind of epitomized, my feelings or thoughts about Michigan State. They were always just tough. You thought Charles Thornhill or George Webster or any of those guys. Bubba, of course, everybody remembers Bubba. But, Duffy was ahead of his time in that he had a quarterback who was American of Afro descent. I mean, nobody was doing that. Duffy did it with Jimmy Ray, I believe. So those guys have always been a team that I've admired. I don't know to what you're speaking. I don't have that kind of sense. But I just think he's a very good coach. But you know what? So is Kelly. But you got to be the right fit too, and he may not be.
Absolutely. He still has time to turn it around.
He does.
But I think that there's some pressure right now. Then you have Washington beating Illinois, and Washington's offense got back off the mat, beating Illinois 42-25. Two things. Washington, I think, again, that's a big win at home. And Illinois, I just don't think ultimately has the talent. I just think that they're a pretty good team, but they don't have in some of these games. We've seen it where they're not able to slow, and it's very unusual for a Bielema team, but their defense just is not that great.
Yeah, I think your O-line is very physical. Luke Altmaier,
yeah.
Yes, is really a very good quarterback, and yet they don't look like they did early on. I remember that SC game, and Lincoln Riley commented, against Notre Dame, they just didn't do what they needed to do against Illinois. He said they were getting knocked off the ball. Bottom line is, I'm with you. They're not playing at the same level. So Bielema's going to have to get this figured out, because right now they have 3 losses in the conference.
And just real fast to give evidence to my point, since the conference season started, Illinois has given up 63, 32, 27, 34, and 42 points. I mean, every game has been a big number, and they've won a few of the games because their offense has been able to pull it out. But boy, you're not going to win consistently giving up that many points every week in the Big Ten Conference.
Well, my brother Pat used to say in basketball, if the only way you can get the ball is out of the net, you're probably not going to win many games. You got to play defense.
And then finally, Rutgers beat Purdue, and I actually watched a little bit of this game last week. I don't think many people were watching it because it was the bottom rung game in the Big Ten Conference, but it was a very exciting game in West Lafayette, and Rutgers in the end came from behind in the second half, beat Purdue 27-24. And something that you always talk about for Rutgers is ultimately getting to that 6-win threshold, and that was a big win for them to ultimately try to get themselves in a bowl game.
Did you see Schiano after the game? He was trying to get across the field, and he just dropped to his knees and was giving thanks because they needed this game. And the thing about this game that when I was watching, I didn't watch a lot of it, but certainly some, were the coaches. Barry Odom, really, really good coach, had great success at Missouri. And Schiano is just he's a football guy.
Yeah.
You see him, Whittingham out in Utah.
Yeah.
I see him, I think, Fitzgerald, and so I was happy for him. I hope they do get to 6 because that's their goal. I mean, they're not going to win the national championship, but if they can get to a bowl, all right, then that's a good place for them.
I think it's finally, that those are examples of this new Big Ten where it's like you got 18 teams.
Yes.
How does Rutgers and Purdue, good years, 11th, 12th? Really, I think those would be good years, beating a bunch of these teams that have so much more football resources than they do. I just think that some of these jobs are just so hard, and that's why it's important to get the right coach. And I think the right coach in terms of maximizing, and they have to realize what the maximization is. I think for some of these programs.
Yeah, because it's like we've said many times, Chad, it's not sustainable. You can't keep doing this and have what is supposed to be a conference, which suggests that teams are relatively on the same level. They're not. And so I think one of the things that you and I have done for years is coming, where some of these teams are going to move back towards that group of 5, and they're going to have their own tournament, and the NCAA is going to set rules that they won't enforce until they get subpoena power and call these guys in to testify under oath. But nonetheless, I think you're right. Rutgers is not going to win the Big Ten anytime soon with the likes of Ohio State and typically Penn State, Michigan, SC, Oregon. It's not happening.
We're going to take a timeout. Then we're going to come back and preview all the games. We're going to go east to west in the Big Ten Conference from sea to shining sea. So we'll talk about this week's upcoming games. One of the games was supposed to be the game of the year, but it's not quite there now because of what Penn State has done, because this was supposed to be the game, wasn't it?
I don't think it's the game of the week.
So I mean, Penn State could make their season, I guess, is the way you look at it today, but that'll be a very difficult task. So we'll talk about that one and the rest of the Big Ten Conference coming up next here on Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
I only travel once or twice a year, but when I do, I go big. Exotic places, incredible hotels, new experiences. It has to be memorable. That's why I call Travel Leaders of Wausau. They get me, and they take care of all the details, so I don't have to worry about a thing.
Travel Leaders gets you, and we get you there. Travel better. Call Travel Leaders of Wausau at 715-355-4437.
And can't forget the sandals. And the right sunglasses.
Hello, my name is Steve Brickner. Here at Brickner Motors in Little Chicago, we'll help you order your brand new Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, or Jeep and get it equipped the way you want it and the color you've always dreamed of. That means you won't overpay for something you don't want. Quality vehicles and competitive prices are what keep people coming back again and again. Make the drive out to Brickner Motors on Little Chicago's northeast side and let our family take care of your family.
You can count on us. Yes, you can.
The Kuhn Hearing Center is a family-owned and operated hearing care facility located at 1699 Schofield Avenue, Suite 106 in Schofield. Dr. Tim Kuhn has been practicing audiology in the greater Wausau-Weston area for 26 years. Dr. Kuhn works closely with several audiology agencies, including Signia Hearing Aids and Accessories, which provides access to the latest and most advanced technologies in the hearing industry. For more info, check them out online at kuhnhearing.com or call 715-298-5511.
Big Fat Designs can give your company the cutting-edge look it needs to attract customers and stand out from the rest. From websites and print designs to logos and letterheads, Big Fat Designs is your effective and affordable marketing solution. E-commerce, online customer database, video and audio players, Big Fat Designs does it all. And the best part, you deal with someone locally to talk with, to meet with, working hands-on towards your success. Big Fat Designs in Wausau. Find out more online at bigfatdesigns.com.
And welcome back. It is Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. Along with Sully, I'm Chad Holmes, and time to look ahead in terms of what's happening this week in Big Ten college football. And I think it would be an interesting test for people. who could name the Big Ten standings in order properly from top to bottom? How many people could go from 1 to 18 and say, okay, I can name them all in perfect order?
I mean, I do this every day, and I'm not sure
I think to get through all 18 would be very, very difficult. But let's talk about what is happening this week, starting with the west of the Mississippi. USC and Nebraska. Talk about the old blue blood battle. Teams that look back fondly on some of their great championships, but not this year again. USC 6-2, 3-1 in the conference, still right there.
Oh yeah.
Nebraska 6-2, 3-2, but one of these teams will be knocked out completely of both the conference race and any outside chance of getting into the playoff.
I got to tell you, Chad, I love your opening because it's a good segue into what I'm going to say, and that is, I don't know if the word is shocked, but I was certainly surprised to see that these teams have played 6 times, in their history, and Nebraska has won a grand total of none. They are 0-5 with a tie. And I remember, because when I saw the record 0-5-1, besides being surprised, I thought, I remember that tie. And it turned out, I knew it was 70, 71, so right in that area. And I did remember 21-21. Because, being an Irish fan, a lot about SC and how good they can be. And then Nebraska back in those years was just beginning to emerge into the steamroller they were becoming. It was still Oklahoma, with those Selman brothers. And,
yeah.
But they were getting there. And so this game, to me, is one of the most interesting games today, and the winner is going to keep on its journey. The loser is going to be, playing for a better bowl.
With Matt Rule signing that extension or agreeing to his new contract to keep him at Nebraska and keep Penn State at bay, you would hope that would lead to a great performance this week. Yeah. I would think that if they don't win tonight, that's like, oh boy. I mean, when is he going to finally get that real signature W? And we haven't really seen that yet.
Well, I'll tell you what you have to do against SC. You have to stop the run because those receivers, the Elboys, Lemon and Lane, I don't think they're defendable. I mean, you could argue that Ohio State has maybe a better tandem, but not much better. And if you don't force them to become one-dimensional, Nebraska's going to have a hard time. And the challenge for them is going to be today doing that and then just hanging when they get in space.
And that one will be on NBC tonight at 6:30. Michigan State 0-5 in the Big Ten, 3-5 overall. Minnesota 3-2 in the conference, 5-3 overall. And I actually found one of the story that Michigan State's Jonathan Smith era is just starting and probably soon ending.
Wow. Okay.
It's not a very impressive write-up. That's what I saw this week from the Athletic, a big national-based sports sites that. For Jonathan Smith, he's got to start winning some games. I know it's only his second year, but being 0-5 in the Big Ten, they are not happy. And for Minnesota, they'll just try to bounce back from that embarrassment against Iowa last week.
Yeah, I think again, you look at quarterback. I don't know how far along they are there, but Chad, I was oblivious to any of this. I just think he's doing what he's doing. He's got, and I'm still of the era where you get 5 years. But that is long gone. It used to be Chad has everybody that those kids in the program are his. And now what's that result when you get to that 5th year? Because these are your guys.
Right.
Nowadays, 2 years and you could be gone.
But then you're flushing money down the toilet again in that whole circle that we talked about earlier. It's like, it's amazing. Again, the poor use of resources, I would say. But
and I gotta tell you, I don't think you're wrong when you say about the governor trying to convince people not to offer that. But I also think he's right. We have to do something about these crazy payouts.
Well, and again, also poaching coaches or under contract. The whole system is broken when it comes to coaches in college football. Then you have on the east of the Mississippi, and again, real fast. I mean, there's only 2 games west of the Mississippi. You got Washington with a bye, Oregon with a bye, UCLA with a bye, Iowa with a bye, Wisconsin with a bye, Northwestern with a bye. I mean, gee whiz.
Well, and
The schedule's broken too.
You will be glad to know this is pretty much the end of that. That'll be gone.
Well, we had to get all the way to November to wrap that up.
That's a fact.
Rutgers in Illinois. Rutgers, that big win last week, but they still have a little bit of work to do. They're 1-4 in the conference, 4-4 overall. This is another opportunity, I think, against Illinois. 2-3 in the conference, 5-3 overall. I think for Rutgers to get where they want to be, they probably have to win another road game like they did last week at Purdue.
Yeah, and the thing that people don't know about Rutgers is when you talk about football games, nobody in the country, and I mean at any level, has played more football games than Rutgers. Illinois leads this series. It's like 8-5. They have played 13 times. I believe this is the 14th meeting. To what you were saying earlier, Illinois needs to come out and get this right, because right now people were saying they were a dark horse to make they're 2-3. Yeah. So they have got to regroup, and they got to do it today. So big game for them. And, Rutgers, as you alluded to, they're marching towards that 6th win so they can become bowl eligible.
It's NBC at 11. I think it'll be an entertaining game. I remember watching last year's game. It was 38-31 where Illinois came on late to pull it out. I would not be surprised if it's a very similar game today in Champaign. Purdue at Michigan, and Michigan is sort of hanging around. I mean, they have not been really in the headlines for on the field stuff. Basically, we keep getting the wash of some of their issues with suspension of the coach and all that. But on the field, they've been very solid: 6-2, 4-1 in the conference. Purdue 2-6, 0-5. Do you think Michigan is going to make the playoff? It'll come down to one game, obviously.
Yeah, if they finish 10-2, they certainly are going to be in the conversation
and beat the number 1 ranked team in the country.
Well, then there's a chance they could finish 11-1. If they do that, they're absolutely in.
No, they're 6-2 right now. They've lost twice.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. They've got because I'm thinking conference. They lost to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So they're right on.
So they probably don't have much room to maneuver.
If they lose a game, 9-3 will not get them in. So.
But 10-2 would, because of that number 1 win.
Yeah,
especially if Ohio State's still undefeated,
and that would get you 4 teams from the Big Ten into the championship.
Penn State and Ohio State. Who would have thunk it? Penn State's still looking for that first win in the conference, 3-4 overall. Ohio State undefeated. The thing about it is you have a winless Penn State in conference, a perfect Ohio State at home, the number 1 ranked team, and the spread's only 17.5.
Yeah,
Fox at 11.
Yeah, and kind of like the Alabama-Georgia rivalry where Alabama's won 10 of 11. Yeah. Ohio State has won 12 of 13. Against they just show up and beat them. I don't see really a good way for Penn State in this game because of the focus of the Ohio State players. Those guys are going to know the roster. Urban Meyer was saying the other day, they're very close in 4- and 5-star players on their roster, except Penn State has 3 more. So when you think of them, you can't think solely in what they've been doing, because they have the talent to step up in this game.
Maryland and Indiana. And, of course, Indiana's just been another amazing season for Cignetti. Maryland, boy, I mean, they have found ways to lose football games. They're 4-3 now. They've lost 3 in a row, 24-20 to Washington, 34-31 to Nebraska, 20-17 to UCLA. I mean, again, another team that's very close, but since the conference has gotten underway, other than that Wisconsin win, it's been a tough goal for Maryland.
Yeah, it would be easy to say that Maryland should be 6-1. Given the scores of those games and opportunities in them, and the Washington game, they were beating them 20-0, and Washington scored 24 unanswered. So. Mike Loxley, I think, is back. I think the way they play, but they got to finish. Mm-hmm. not today. I mean, I just don't see a way against Indiana. And you alluded to it earlier when you said they stay focused. Signetti gets them in the moment, and I think they kind of exemplify what I was babbling about earlier, and that is established momentum in each game.
Yeah.
They seem to do it without worrying about what they did last week.
So that is a look at the action today in the Big Ten Conference. Coming up, we'll start going through some rankings. And, of course, last week there was a massive game in the FCS. We'll, I'm sure, talk about that. And the top 15 in terms of FCS schools coming up next as we continue on Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Thinking about changing to organic or natural foods? Then you need to stop at Red Clover Market at the Total Rental location in Weston. Family-owned Red Clover Market, your healthy natural food store. Open Monday through Saturday.
Looking for a part for your vehicle? Look to Hilltop Auto Wrecking in Wausau. Hilltop Auto Wrecking can help you find just about any part you need for your car, truck, or SUV. They have a great selection of auto glass and tires with lots of sizes ready to go. Hilltop Auto Wrecking is always looking to buy vehicles, so if you're stuck with an older junker, they can haul it away for cash. Hilltop Auto Wrecking, family owned and operated for over 40 years at 237-934 Del Rio Road, formerly 6806 North 33rd Street, Wausau. Call 715-675-3258.
For more than 60 years, Sun Printing has been Central Wisconsin's commercial printer of choice due to their commitment to quality, creative solutions, and dedicated service. Sun Printing's team offers you a wide spectrum of services. Whether you need offset, digital, large format, graphic design, or mailing, they print everything under the sun. No project is too big or too small. So give Sun Printing a call at 845-4911 or visit them online at sunprinting.com.
Since 1981, Lopnos has been Wausau's favorite sports bar. Grab a bit of Wausau's past while you're watching your favorite sports teams at their historic turn-of-the-century establishment. Lopnos is the perfect place to catch all the sports action on their 15 enormous flat-screen TVs, enjoy a night on the town with friends, or have a celebration in their private party room. A great place for birthdays, anniversaries, clubs, or meetings. Lopnos, Wausau's oldest and finest sports bar, 3rd Street, Wausau.
For over 40 years, Champion Insurance has been helping business owners protect themselves. They also offer protection for your home, auto, and other personal assets as well. Local family owned and operated. Champion Insurance. They got you covered. Schofield Avenue, Schofield.
And welcome back to Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO. You can also catch the show on the WXCO YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com and go to the 98.9 WXCO channel there, and you can watch the show live and also go back and watch previous shows throughout the course of the season of Sully's College Football Page. And so before we talk about these rankings that you can get on SullysCollegeFootballPage.com, need to remind people that may be new to the program that it's not just a radio program, but you do it all week long. SullysCollegeFootballPage.com, and with a lot of information there.
Yeah, thanks for that, Ted. We do on Sully's College Football Page, and I would encourage you to go to it because we don't have the time to talk. I would say about it. Maybe we do 10% of what's there. So if you want to look at how we rank, we do the FCS, we do the top 15 there. Then we break apart the group of 5 and we rank the top 20 there. And then we get to the Power 5. Or Power 4, I should say. And then we do the top 25 there. So I'd encourage you to go there, use the game simulator. That'll give you by the numbers a peek at what's going on. And then just in general, the things on the site will help you become more familiar with what's going on today in college football.
Number 15 in the FCS, Dartmouth from the Ivy League, 5-1, roughed up the Lions of Columbia 49-3 last week, and they got a massive game against Harvard coming up.
They really do. Harvard's unbeaten. And then, the thing about Dartmouth's loss is to Penn. And What else Dartmouth has done this year is they beat Yale by a point. Because typically, when you talk academics, you kind of say Yale and Harvard,
Right.
Harvard and Yale, and they are that way in the football. The interesting thing now is if Dartmouth were to beat Harvard, they really have the inside track and win in the Ivy League.
Mhm.
And for the first time yet in 50 plus years, the Ivy League is going to send a representative to the tournament. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
Then number 14 from the SWAC is Prairie View A&M at 6-2. And number 13 from the Patriot is Lehigh, who's undefeated at 8-0.
Yeah, both these teams, Prairie View A&M is playing Alabama State, who has, a good team. They have a loss to Jackson State. But I'll be all right in a minute. Alabama State is favored in this game by about 10 points. So I was a little surprised at the discrepancy there. But nonetheless, that's a game we're going to keep an eye on. Lehigh hammered Yale. The Patriot League and the Ivy League, big rivalry. Most people in the Midwest are probably clueless about it.
Mhm.
But out there, it's a big deal. And Lehigh's off to a great start.
Number 12 is Lamar. They are 7-1. They beat Northwestern State in their last game and have Incarnate Word coming up. And then Rhode Island is number 11 at 7-2. And I have to admit, real fast, I found funny. It says Rhode Island 7-2 beat Bryant 38-17. When I first saw it, I thought it said Bear Bryant. So I think, why did it say Bear Bryant? But it says beat Bryant 38-17, and they have a bye this week.
Yeah, and they're in what used to be, at least arguably, the and I won't say Colonial. Now it's the Coastal Athletic Association.
Colonial's a better name, though.
Yeah, I'd like Colonial better too. Nonetheless, that is a really good league still. But over the years, teams have left. Massachusetts left. Connecticut left. They're playing at a higher level now. But nonetheless, Rhode Island's having a really good year. And Lamar is always solid. This year they've stepped up a notch. So it'll be interesting to see if they keep going and what they'll do in the playoffs.
Number 10 from the Big Sky is UC Davis. They're 6-1 after a win over Northern Colorado, 27-16. And Monmouth, again from that former Colonial Conference, is 7-1. They beat Hampton last week, 28-10. And they face Bear Bryant coming up this week.
Yeah, I never think of them like that.
They hope to beat Bryant, so it's Bear Bryant. They hope to Bear Bryant.
I would rather play Bryant than Bear Bryant. The reality here with UC Davis is they are in that Big Sky. So eventually they're going to start to run into teams like Montana State, teams that are at the top of that, of that FCS subdivision. So you always want to see what they do, and they have beaten them. They're a good club. And then Monmouth beat Hampton, and Hampton was a former member of the MEAC. That is HBCU, the Black universities. And they were good in that league, somewhat struggled in here because the strength of this league is just a step up from the MEAC or SWAC.
Number 8 is North Dakota. They're 6-2 after beating Indiana State, and they have one of those rivalry games at South Dakota coming up. And number 7, Montana State from the Big Sky. They're 6-2 after a 34-17 win against Cal Poly, and they'll be taking on Northern Colorado this week.
Yeah, and those like Northern Colorado and Northern Arizona, typically they're in the bottom half somewhere, because there's 13 teams or 12 teams, I think 12. And so they're usually somewhere 7 to 11, somewhere in there. But every now and then, those teams will step up and they'll have a good club this year. So don't pay a lot of attention to them and knowing exactly how they're doing. But I know they can be, on a year, they can be formidable.
Number 6, Tennessee Tech. They're perfect. They're 8-0. They beat Southeast Missouri. They have Gardner Webb, a winning team, coming up next. And then that Harvard squad that we touched on earlier from the Ivy League, undefeated, beat Princeton 35-14. And next, as we talked about, Dartmouth in a big one in the Ivy.
Yeah, this game really is important for Harvard to win because even if they get help, they're going to need help and then more help because they've when I say Dartmouth has already beat Yale, and chances are that Ivy League comes down to the end. They just call it the game.
Yep.
And if Dartmouth gets this done, they've already beaten Yale. So big game for Harvard. They got to find a way today.
Number 4, down a couple of slots this week, is South Dakota State, 7-1 after their first loss, and home to North Dakota State last week. They'll take on Indiana State this week. And Montana still undefeated. They won a high-scoring affair, 49-35 against Sacramento State last week, and they have a good matchup this week against Weber State.
Yeah, Weber State's I think they're out of Ogden. A good program, and years and years ago, they used to have a rivalry with Boise. Back in the 70s when this march that Boise's been on had not really yet started.
They've had some decent basketball teams over the years, haven't they, Weber?
Yes.
I think Larry Farmer, after leaving UCLA, went to coach at Weber.
Now, there's a name out of the past. Really good forward. Very good player.
Okay, and South Dakota State. What about them? I mean, they had a chance to make a big statement last week, a huge matchup, and kind of fell on their face. That's a hard one to kind of bounce back from, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it was my go-to guy for any golf questions is Michael Leva, but I typically wouldn't be asking Michael any questions about college football. And yet, last week, he took North Dakota State. I thought South Dakota State, based on the frustration they've had with them of the last couple of years, were going to step up. Not only did they not step up, they got stepped on.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that score. North Dakota State went there and beat them 38-7. So not sure how the kids are going to respond to that, but they are going to get another shot at it.
Number 2, Tarleton State, still undefeated, 9-0 now after beating Eastern Kentucky. They have Abilene Christian coming up. And then North Dakota State and an emphatic number 1 after that win against South Dakota State. And they have Youngstown State coming up today.
Who's a good team? Yeah. Youngstown State, that's an Ohio school, but I forever think they're from Pennsylvania. For why, I don't know, but I always have to self-correct. North Dakota State has separated itself significantly from the pack, because I would say South Dakota State, for the rest, doesn't get much better, if better than them. And so the reality here is North Dakota State, and watch out if you're playing them.
So that's the top 15 in the FCS. Again, you can go to Sully's collegefootballpage.com to take a complete look at those rankings and get further information on those teams as well. Well, coming up, it's our 10-game challenge. And who do we got this week?
Well, we got Tim Kuhn. Tim's an audiologist here in town, runs the Kuhn Hearing Center out in the Schofield area. And, a long history with Timmy. He was in 4th grade when I started teaching at St. Mark's, so I've known Tim and his family for a long time. Really good football and basketball player in high school. In fact, at Newman, we offered him a couple of cars and a few other, but we could not get him to come. He wanted to play at a little higher level in football, but a great point guard, so
Fantastic.
We're honored to have Tim here. Great guy.
You're going to have a challenge here this week. So
I have a challenge every week.
Yes, you do. So we'll have Tim Kuhn coming up next for the 10-game challenge here on Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Buck Welsh has been working in the golf business since 1976, became a PGA member in 1984, and has been teaching for over 40 years. His philosophy has always been to work with the individual golfer, building on the way they do things and making them better with what they have to work with. Call Buck at 715-581-2646 or check out the website www.bucksgolfshop.com to get more info about lessons.
Eye Clinic of Wisconsin believes that clear vision and hearing are priceless. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin is equipped to handle all your eye and hearing care needs. When you need specialty and surgical eye care, why not work with the best? Let the team of professionals at Eye Clinic of Wisconsin see you. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin has 7 convenient locations that include Wausau, Antigo, Medford, Merrill, Rhinelander, Stevens Point, and Wisconsin Rapids. Visit their Facebook page or website at www.eyeclinicwi.com. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin, one vision, yours.
As a proud member of the Wausau Marathon, Edgar, and Athens communities, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home has built a reputation for having a deep commitment to personal service. When you need compassionate concern and expert guidance day or night, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home is the one to call. You can trust them to take care of every detail at a time it matters most. Located in Wausau, Marathon, Edgar, and Athens, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home, friends you've trusted and depended on since 1914. Krasowski Dental offers the most effective cosmetic and neuromuscular dentistry procedures and treatments. When you walk through the doors, you'll experience an incredibly comfortable and pleasant atmosphere where you'll be treated like family. Krasowski Dental offers 24-hour emergency service and care so you don't have to wait, and offers many of the newest dental technologies and perks to make your dental experience comfortable and less stressful. Schedule your appointment now with Krasowski Dental, North 17th Avenue, Wausau.
Don't you just love a good football game? Don't you just love a new car or a new truck or a new motorcycle? And don't you just love saving money? Then you'll love Clover Belt Credit Union, your go-to team for saving money with a great rate vehicle loan. Great rates are what make Clover Belt the leader in vehicle loans. Cars, trucks, motorcycles, ATVs. If it's got a motor and it rolls on wheels, Clover Belt Credit Union has the great rate financing you want. Give us a call and we'll get your great rate loan rolling. Clover Belt Credit Union, your team for great rates.
The Dirks Group started in 1999 as an alternative to traditional IT service providers. From the start, they focused on customized solutions for the needs of each client. Today, they serve over 400 customers from locations in Wausau and Eau Claire. Go to dirksgroup.com for more information.
Charity's Bar in Marathon City. Great food, great service, a great place to meet friends. Come on down and watch the game or just hang out. It's Charity's Bar on County Road and in Marathon City.
Witness the difference at Newman Catholic Schools, where education is embraced by the Christian faith and students are held to a high standard of academic excellence. Schedule a tour and learn what it means to be a Newman Catholic Cardinal. Visit NewmanCatholicSchools.com to learn more.
WXCO 1230 AM, W255DN Wausau, streaming at bullfallsradio.com.
It's hour number 2 of Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. And again, you can also go to YouTube.com, go to the 98.9 WXCO channel, and be able to watch and hear the show every Saturday morning, and go back and watch previous episodes of the program as well. With Sully, I'm Chad Holmes, and it's as we do every week, starting off hour number 2 of the show with Sully's College Football Page 10-game challenge. This week, we have a guy that knows a little bit of something about football, doesn't he?
Oh, well, this guy was an outstanding athlete. I first met him. He was a 4th grader, and he was already smarter than me, and so runs now. He's a doctor of audiology, does a great job there. I've been there for some services. Great place to get that squared away, and you get real good information. That's the thing I look from the medical side, help me with this. And, to say you got to put it in simplistic terms for me would be, and I'll tell you, I walk out of there knowing exactly what you're dealing with.
Dr. Tim Kuhn, talk a little bit about Kuhn Hearing Center, because if Sully's because half the time before he would say, I don't know what you're talking about. Now he catches everything. So whatever you're doing is working. But Doctor, good to see you. Before we get into our 10-game challenge, talk a little bit about Kuhn Hearing Center.
Yeah, well, thanks, Chad, and thanks for having me here this morning, you guys. Kuhn Hearing Center, we've been open for about 15 years now, and serving just the greater central Wisconsin area of hearing needs, hearing loss, ear cleanings, hearing aids, whatever type of ear problem you have, we take care of it. And it's just a family-run business, and most of our patients we consider family as well.
Fantastic.
And speaking of family, I got to tell you, your family was one of the first I met when I got here in our years together at St. Mark's. And I got to tell you, Chad, outstanding family, father and mother, and then, his brother, Johnny, just great family.
Man, I mean, he's trying to make it hard for you to beat him in this 10-game challenge by buttering you up, isn't he?
Right.
That's exactly why I'm doing this.
That's what he did when he tried to get me to come to Newman to play ball.
I did. It didn't work then either.
Let's jump right in. The 10 games that we will have for the 10-game challenge. The first game, boy, it's not. I don't think this is going to be one of the more competitive games because you got Boston College and Notre Dame, and boy, Bill O'Brien had done such a nice job at in his Penn State and even early at Boston College, but they have struggled mightily. Notre Dame seems to be getting better and better as the season has gone on, but don't let me bias your thoughts. And Dr. Kuhn, what do you think? BC and ND.
Well, Chad, they call this the Holy War rivalry.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be much of a war. It's going to be a massacre. You got Notre Dame coming off a bye week, which is going to be in their favor. They've won 5 in a row. On top of that, they have a top 10 offense, averaging 39 points per game. And Boston College, on the flip side of that, is giving up about 38 points a game against Power 4 opponents. And its only win in their 8 games is against an FCS team. So I don't expect this game to be much different. I'd see Notre Dame winning this 38-13.
I'm with you on that. Both you guys, I'm with you. I do have to say we included this game because today is All Saints Day, and a friend of the program from Sun Printing, Carla Kiefer, she was in Vatican City last week, and she told me that the Swiss Guard streamed our program, and they told her, you tell that guy he better have Notre Dame and Boston College, as they are the only 2 Catholic schools that are playing in the FBS. So therein lies why they're there. And I'm with you. Notre Dame wins this game.
Our next game is from the Atlantic Coast Conference, or as I like to call it, the All Coast Conference now, with the teams from California out there. But got Clemson and Duke, and it's been a real rough go of it for Clemson in comparison to what they expect. Duke has been, I think a little bit up and down this season, but Clemson and Duke, and this time Sully. What do you think?
Well, typically this is a no-brainer, especially with Clemson being at home.
I'm not going to open my mouth. I was going to say something wrong.
Oh.
I thought, I caught myself.
It never stops me, so don't worry about that. Yet I should say, I still like Clemson at home. I think they find a way against Matty Diaz's team. And so I'm going to say Clemson at home wins a close game.
Dr. Kuhn.
Yeah, I'll agree with you, Sully, there. Clemson hasn't lost a home game to an unranked ACC foe since 2019. So even though they're down a little bit, and I think they're without Klubnik today. I think he's still out with a shoulder. I don't think it matters. I think they win a close one. I'm going to go 29-24 Clemson.
He's come loaded for bear, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's a bold pick there with the score. Yeah.
And you having that little bit of information there. That's stuff that you got put on the website.
Yeah.
Our next game is, again, from the ACC. You got North Carolina State and Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech, one of the surprise teams this season, has continued to work themselves into the top 10. And Tim, who do you like?
All right. Well, I got information on this one too. I've been up all night studying this, Sully.
I can see that. 29-24. I'm going to write that down.
So, yeah, this should be a good one. I'm going to go with Georgia Tech. They've won the last 4 or 5 against NC State. And NC State's defense is kind of reeling right now. They've given up 35 plus points in 3 straight losses. So I'll take Georgia Tech, and I'll take that one 34-24.
Yeah, and how about Brent Key, the coach there, has done great work at Georgia Tech. They're 8-0. Dave Dorn, is a Northern Illinois guy, and then he would have took that Wisconsin job if in fact, because I think they liked him, but he was gone to North Carolina State, and then they ended up offering to Anderson. But nonetheless, I'm with you about North Carolina State being dangerous, Tim. Clemson, on the other hand, Georgia Tech, on the other hand, is really having the best year they have had in recent memory. And so I'm with you. Georgia Tech finds a way in this game.
Ohio State and Penn State. It was supposed to be the game of the year in the Big Ten Conference, but then Penn State decided they didn't want it to be that way because they have struggled in the conference. Ohio State continues to win, number 1 in the country, undefeated. Game being played in the Horseshoe. Not a great spot for Penn State, but OSU and Penn State. Sully, you're up first.
Oh, am I up in this one? Okay, I'm going to say that Penn State is going to sell out against the run. They're going to play 5, 6, 7 in the box, and they're going to try to play those receivers man with some help. Because if Ohio State is two-dimensional in this game, if they're able to run the ball, I don't think Penn State has a chance. Given the injuries they've had and given where they're at mentally this year, you still got to say Ohio State will find a way, because you can bet Day is standing on his head talking to them to get their attention about Penn State's roster, which Urban Meyer said, Tim, that both had 4 and 5 stars, but when you counted them up, Penn State had 3 more 4 or 5 stars than Ohio State. So while they're struggling, their roster is still really good.
And Tim, what do you think?
Well, I think I'd go with Ohio State on this one. I don't think it's really going to be close. Ohio State is undefeated at home since 2021, and their defense is just too elite. And with Drew Aller being out and Grunkmeyer, the freshman, playing, I think he'll struggle a little bit against that defense. So I'll take Ohio State 31-10.
Up next, our 5th game is it used to be called the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, and
we still call it that.
Georgia and Florida. There's still a guy named Billy coaching at Florida, but it's not Sully's old buddy Billy Napier. He got
thought that'd work.
He got the axe, and now it's Billy Gonzalez as the interim coach for Florida football. Will there be a spark for the Gators? Tim, what do you think?
So it's not the world's largest cocktail party anymore?
Well,
is that at Lopnos or what?
Yeah, well, maybe. It's certainly the world's longest at Lopnos.
No. It's Tim.
I know, but I'm just
okay.
saying they changed that. But what we do, we mention it that it's no longer called that, but we mention it so we can call it that.
So yeah, I wasn't aware of that. So
I guess they got the idea of 75,000 people bending their elbow for 5 hours and then going out and driving. They decided to. They now call it the War for the Ore because the winner takes home a trophy ore from the Okefenokee Swamp.
I'd have to go with the world's largest outdoor.
Right, that sounds more fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Georgia here. I think Florida's on the downward spiral. Georgia's won the last 4 head-to-heads against Florida by an average of 21 points. Though Florida has a legit quarterback in Legway. He might be limited in his mobility. He's got a little bit of an ankle issue going on here. And there's too much chaos with, firing Billy Napier and all that's going on within that program. I'll take Georgia 27-17.
Yeah, and this game is played at a neutral site in Jacksonville, Florida. And Kirby wanted to move it. And I'll tell you, Kirby carries a lot of weight, but he got stomped on about moving the game. They are not moving it because of the tradition of it. I'm with you. Georgia, Gunnar Stockton is doing good things. Georgia just can't beat Alabama. So if they, and they will, I believe, get in the playoffs, they need Ohio State or somebody to beat them, and then they've got a shot going forward. So I like Georgia in this game too.
And are you saying? I want to ask: Is Florida dead to you now that they fired your guy Billy Napier?
Well, I mean, it depends who they hire. I just thought I watched Billy Napier's teams play when he was at Louisiana. Tim, and defensively, they were fun to watch. These guys were looking to start something after every tackle. I mean, they were in your face, and they brought it. And I will add, they didn't fight, but it looked like, they had to interrupt each other. I thought that they would bring an element to Florida that would, kind of get them more in the physicality on the defensive side, and we all know Florida has great athletes.
We are halfway through our 10-game challenge. We are joined by Dr. Timothy Kuhn, the audiologist and owner of the Kuhn Hearing Center. And Tim, more about Kuhn Hearing Center. Anything you would like to add?
Well, let me see. We just hired a new audiologist, a new doctor of audiology, Dr. Melissa Sigmund, and she's accepting new patients. She's great. She's been an audiologist for about 11 years, and so she comes to our practice with great experience and just brings a nice touch to the practice. And come on in and see her. If you need any help with your hearing or ears.
Let me ask you a real fast question here, because during my career, we have I'm wearing these cans on my head all the time, and in terms of like the ears, and sometimes I've been around a lot of noise. What do people look for when they think about, hey, maybe I should check it out? Is there anything particular that, as we get older, especially, that maybe we should think about in terms of saying, hey, we can go see an audiologist and maybe try to make sure that the hearing stays as close to top notch as possible?
Right, that's a good question, Chad. So as we age, a lot of things fall apart in the body, and as far as the ear, usually it's you're asking to have things repeated, or you're maybe misinterpreting things, or you feel somebody's mumbling when actually you're not hearing them well. Those are signs to look for. Other signs would be, if you're getting any type of ringing or noises in the ear, fullness, pressure, those types of symptoms can all indicate some type of ear problem and or hearing loss.
Interesting.
Yeah. Once a year, Tim, minimum, you should make an appointment with your audiologist.
I would tell you, as you get into your 60s, once a year is probably the best route to go. If not once a year, at least every 2 years.
Very good. Well, let's get to the second half of the challenge, and a very interesting game today. And Sully was telling me off the air that people are talking about this one, North Texas and Navy. And of course, Navy having a great year, and North Texas a very good team as well. And first up is Sully, right?
Yes, this is 6. And Tim, I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to this game. It's at 11 o'clock. North Texas is one of the teams over the years. They defend Navy. You know how hard Navy can be with that triple option and all the misdirection and, counteraction stuff they do. North Texas seems to have figured that out. This game is a huge game. Navy's undefeated. North Texas only has 1 loss. And so given the fact that South Florida lost the game, the winner of this one is going to be in position to have a segue to the championship game. The other thing in the American, the other thing is, if Navy wins this, which is a big if, but if they are to win it, next week that the TV pundits moved the Navy Notre Dame game to a night game, and Notre Dame is just whining about it. They do not want to back. I think they have a hard enough time finding out where the ball is without playing under the lights. But nonetheless, huge game today for Navy, and for playoff implications, it really could have a direct impact on Notre Dame. So I'm going with North Texas, though. I think North Texas
finally got to. I was going to say who's going to win this game. Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, after all that, I thought you were going to say Navy, Sully. I'm going to go with North Texas too. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. You got the triple option on one side and the air raid on the other, but I think the air raid's going to prevail in this. Navy's just not going to be able to stop it. I think North Texas, as you said, Sully's going to be able to put a little bit of a gap. They're going to stop that run, here and there to put some pressure on Navy. Right. Navy's not going to be able to throw it to catch them. So I'll say North Texas 41-34.
Got a good Big 12 game next. Utah and Cincinnati. Cincinnati's really made a nice bounce back after a couple of down years. They're right in the mix for the conference championship. Utah tough as always. And Tim, who do you like?
Yeah, I think this will be a good one. I'm actually going to go with Utah with this. I think the home field advantage is going to be the factor here, and I just think that though Cincinnati's playing well, I don't think they're going to go into Utah and be able to win on the road.
I would have said that a couple of weeks ago, and I did when and Chad, you remember when Utah played BYU. I did not think that BYU Sakani Lataki could go in there and win that game. He did, because I was going with Whittingham. Now I'm saying Scott Satterfield, who's the coach at Cincinnati, He was at Louisville, and they kind of shoved him out the door, even though he was doing a good job there. I think Cincinnati finds a way today at Utah. And I think the common perspective, though, Tim, is with you that they're going to find a way at home, Utah. But I'm saying Cincinnati lost its opening game to Nebraska by 3 points. Otherwise, this club's unbeaten. So I'm saying Cincy gets it done.
Next up, a Big Ten game between, as we talked about, a couple blue blood programs in the history of college football, Nebraska and USC. And Sully, who do you like?
I'm going to say on this one, I'm going to go with the Beach Boys. People think their backs are elusive. That's not true, Tim. They just wear a lot of C and ski and copper tone, which is why Notre Dame could never tackle those guys. Nonetheless, this is one of the best games, maybe the best game today, because there's so much at stake for these teams. But I like the L boys, Lemon and Lane, those receivers. I think they're going to force Nebraska into space, and the Huskers are going to have a hard time with them.
And what nicknames do you have for these guys, Tim?
Oh boy, that's a tough one to beat. But I'm going to tell you, Sully, I don't think the USC is going to come to Nebraska and win that game. Okay. Nebraska hasn't won a game versus a ranked opponent since 2016, and I think that has to end. The odds are just against that continuing. So I'm going to go with Nebraska at home, under the lights, 31-28.
And then our ninth game is the Josh Heupel Bowl, the Heisman Trophy winner for Oklahoma, now the coach of Tennessee. He went to Norman last year and earned a big W. This time around, Oklahoma goes to the orange clad Neyland Stadium. So Tennessee and Oklahoma in a big SEC matchup. And Tim, you're up first.
Well, Chad, I think the Vols are going to roll on this one. I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a shootout, but the Sooners' offensive line is a little banged up, so they got some freshmen going there, and I don't think they hold for the entire game. So I'm going to look at Tennessee winning at home 28-24.
And I'm with you on this, Tim. I think Tennessee gets it done at home. There is going to be athleticism in this game everywhere. These teams are very athletic. The difference in it, Tim, you alluded to it. I think Tennessee's a little more physical, and that O-line being slowed is going to hurt Oklahoma and Johnny Mateer in this game. So Heupel finds a way. Tennessee gets this done.
And finally, Texas and Vanderbilt. Boy, Texas is surviving overtime games. I mean, they could easily be completely out of it, but they're still hanging on the fringes of the SEC and the national playoff race. And then there's Vanderbilt in the top 10. Who would have thunk it? Clark Lee has done an incredible job there, but a massive game in the SEC. Texas and Vandy. So what's the crystal ball say?
Yeah, this might be the only game, Tim, that has more at stake than the Nebraska SC game. Texas has 2 losses, so third loss, they're done. But keep in mind, the advantage they have with those 2 losses is one of them is against Ohio State. So they only have 1 loss, so still kind of control their own way to the playoff game in the SEC. Vandy's kind of written a story here, with the resurrection and Diego Pavier. I want to say I've now gotten over it. I don't know if you knew this, Tim, but when they were getting ready to play Alabama, he was practicing taking a knee because he said this is what Alabama's going to say. So I thought, okay, that's it for you, buddy. I'm for Alabama. Anyway, I want you to know I've gotten over that. So I think in spite of Manning's resurgence, he's playing better. I think Vandy's going to go in there and shock the horns.
And Tim, final pick.
Yeah, Sully, I'm with you there. I just think, it's kind of a Cinderella story, and Diego has got a little bit of confidence, but I think that kind of plays into the team doing well, and I'm going to go with Diego and the Commodores in this one to pull the upset.
What's the score?
I'm going to go 23-20 Vandy.
Got to get the score there. Very, very good. Very cool. Very good information. Terrific slate of games. And Dr. Tim Kuhn, before we wrap it up, any final thoughts I want to share either about the business or anything else?
Well, I just want to thank you guys for having me down here. This is great. I look forward to it. It's a good way to start my morning. And, what a neat thing you do, Sully. So appreciate it.
Well, listen, next year, though, I don't want to see this much data. I have enough time winning these picks without, you writing War and Peace here.
Yeah. Well, you pull it off your head. I got to write it down, so I can look at it. I don't have that type of memory anymore.
Well, I got to tell you, I learned that from my father. He used to say it's okay to make things up as long as you don't expect anybody to believe you. So I've kind of adopted that.
Dr. Tim Kuhn Hearing Center, thanks again for coming by. Thanks for the support of the program and Sully's College football page.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Timmy.
We got more rankings coming up. We'll go with the group of 5 coming up, and then the Power 4 after that as we take you to kickoff on this Saturday morning. Sully's College football page on 98.9 WXCO.
Where did the good old days go? From going to the old A&W drive-in to cruising the strip in town, all things change. Some things stay consistent. For almost 75 years, Redant Insurance in Rib Mountain has been providing quality service to its customers. One of the oldest agencies in the area. Your family and neighbors come here. Now it's your turn. Call 715-845-9204. Click redantinsurance.com or stop by 227501 Rib Mountain Drive. Redant Insurance Agency, our family helping yours.
Tommy's Express Car Wash at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston has the tools and experience to keep your car clean inside and out. Our wash packages let you pay for the services you want, including Tommy Garden Body Wax, wheel cleaning and tire gloss, an underbody flush and spot-free rinse. Give your vehicle the cleaning it deserves at Tommy's Express at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston.
Kemp Service Center was established in 1951 and to this day is still family owned. That's 70 years of serving the Wausau area with the best in auto and truck repair. Kemp's certified mechanics service all makes and models, including imports. Don't wait to the last minute to get your oil changed. Kemp's can get the job done in no time. Kemp's Service Center is open Monday through Saturday at the corner of North 6th Street and East Wausau Avenue in Wausau.
You don't have to choose between personal, hometown service, and the latest banking technology. Brokaw Credit Union has it all. Whether you're looking to finance your first home, grow your savings, or get a new set of wheels, we're here to help. Check us out at brokawcu.com. It's hard to find great Italian food in Wausau unless you're familiar with Carmelo's Italian Restaurant. Established in 1986 by the Oliva family, 3 generations still strive to provide a family atmosphere and fine dining experience. Carmelo's is proud to serve authentic Italian made with fresh ingredients. Their recipes have been handed down from generation to generation. Reservations are recommended Tuesdays through Sundays, and they are closed on Mondays. Carmelo's Italian Restaurant, located at the base of Granite Peak on North Mountain Road, Wausau. Check them out at carmelositalian.com.
And welcome back. It is Sully's College football page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. I am Chad Holmes along with Sully, and it is time now to talk about some rankings. If you go to Sully's College football page.com, you'll be able to get rankings as we had earlier from the FCS, but also the group of 5 and then the Power 4. We'll have the Power 4 rankings coming up in just a few minutes, but we'll start things off with the group of 5. And if Sully will get in here, we can actually get to work here, but I don't know where Sully is. So Sully, but the group of 5 rankings, again, go to Sully's College football page.com and you'll be able to get all the rankings and all the information you need about college football. Well, I was going to start without you there, but you're.
Well, we got talking about XCO
there
in the
you
old
go.
days. Yeah.
I had guests out there. So let's jump into the into the group of 5 rankings, and we're a little bit behind because Dr. Kuhn had so much great information there.
He
It went
did.
a little bit longer than we normally do for our 10-game challenge. So we're going to go here in groups of 4 here for the group of 5.
Okay.
Number 20, you have Central Michigan from the MAC, who's 5-3. Another MAC team, another 5-3 team, Ohio at number 19. You have Connecticut, Jim Mora Jr.'s team. They're number 18. Independent, one of the rare independents at 5-3. And then Temple. I mean, that's a team that we normally don't see very often in the rankings. They're 5-3 after a big overtime win against Tulsa, number 17.
Yeah, this is the best Temple has played in quite a while. They're having a good year, and they got a big game today against a very good East Carolina team. Connecticut, Jimmy Mora does a really good job formerly at UCLA, and his dad is about playoffs. Just get that. And, Central Michigan is new, Chad. They just have been playing their way in, and we'll see how that goes in the MAC. Right now, it looks like the best team we're going to be talking about in the MAC in a minute here.
Number 16 is Old Dominion. They're 5-3 after a tight win against Appalachian State. Another MAC team, Miami of Ohio, is number 15 at 5-3 after beating Western Michigan. Southern Miss has had a nice little rise up. They're number 14 at 6-2 after a win against Louisiana Monroe. And then number 13, Hawaii. And Hawaii's had themselves maybe a quietly effective season in the Mountain West at 6-2.
Timmy Chang, a record-setting quarterback at Hawaii. And if I remember right, when he was there, they got in like a New Year's Six bowl game against Georgia. Bottom line, the one of the best games last week was when Western Michigan, who had won 4 in a row, took on Chuck Martin's team at Miami of Ohio, who had also won 4 in a row. So it was kind of a separation game, and Miami got that done. In Miami, as you know, every year they start 1-2, 0-3 because they play up. They played Notre Dame and they played the Badgers early on when Wisconsin wasn't fighting all the psychology they're fighting now. But anyway, Hawaii, Southern Miss. You say Southern Miss, I say Brett Favre.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, you always think of him.
He is the guy.
Yeah, and they're in the Sun Belt, and that Sun Belt. That league is approaching the Mountain West in terms of who's the second best, because clearly the best is the American.
Number 12, Troy. The Troy Trojans from the Sun Belt, 6-2 after a good win against Louisiana last week. Western Kentucky they call it Conference USA still?
Yes.
You never know with some of these conferences. They're 6-2 after a 1-point win against Louisiana Tech. Kennesaw State.
Georgia boys.
Yeah, so 6-2 also from Conference USA. And then UNLV, they're 6-1. They had just had their first loss of the season, and they'll try to get back on the winning track against a pretty solid New Mexico team led by a former Badger.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
Coach Jason Eck.
Oh, Jason Eck. Okay. Yeah, I would not,
I've already predicted. Don't you remember? I predicted he'll be the next coach of the Badgers. Whenever that comes.
When anybody says Eck, I always think of Jay Eck, who coached against when he was at Aquinas. And then my brother Pat coached against him, and he went on and then he ended up with Dick Versace. He was down at Bradley. Really good coach. But anyway, Kennesaw State has kind of solidified itself as one of the better teams in that league. And, they're making noise when you look at the group of 5. Sadly, ESPN and others don't rank these teams, so you don't hear a lot about them. Right. I think we're doing the right thing here. They don't have the money to compete with the Power 5 or Power 4. But these teams are really good, and they are really enjoyable to watch.
Number 8 is James Madison, the Dukes. 7-1, and they roughed up Old Dominion, 63-27. Number 7, San Diego State. Again, a nice bounce back for the Aztecs this year. They did not have a good year in 2024, but they've, I think, already doubled their win total from a year ago. They're now 6-1 after shutting out Fresno State. And Fresno, known for offense over all these years, not getting a point is very surprising. And then you have Boise State, who's 6-2 after a win against Nevada, and they have Fresno coming up. And then Tulane, number 5, but some trouble for Tulane. And I mentioned their coach has been in the mix talking about Louisiana State and other SEC schools. He's a guy that played college football at Kentucky. And there's, if Kentucky moves on, I mean, he's been thrown out there in a lot of different situations. And this week, they lost, and they lost by a lot. And I got to think that all that, the old Bill Belichick distractions did not help Tulane.
No, and you've been watching them, this year, and their scores have been much closer, for teams that they normally get after and get it done. And, I've seen them play Ole Miss, kind of tough,
Yeah.
Ole Miss, the last couple of years would get away from them in the fourth quarter. But I'm telling you, Chad, for 3 quarters, the old Green Wave was banging it. It was good games.
Any of the I want to ask you about those Mountain West schools, Boise and San Diego State. I mean, San Diego State's really worked their way into the mix, haven't they?
Well, San Diego State is Sean Lewis, and he is a Wisconsin. He's got Wisconsin ties.
And then he went to Colorado there as an assistant, and that didn't work out. But he landed on his feet very well.
I think Dion, brings a certain strength to I mean, you look at tails in seats, he's your guy. He creates interest. He can go get high-powered players. And it was very smart of him to get a guy like Sean Lewis. When he was at Kent State, they're the Flashes. I think they're the Golden Flashes. And they called his offense Flash Quickly or Flash Quick. And, it's a high-powered, high-intensity, quickly executed all. And so I think you're seeing some of that there. Mm-hmm. And as far as Boise State goes, they were not, I don't think, mentally ready for South Florida when they played that game early and they got popped. I thought they played Notre Dame with their other loss. Mm-hmm. So we've got them ranked 6th. But I would tell you, I think they could beat a number of those teams in front of them. But as you know, is it a power ranking or is it a win-loss?
It's a combination of everything.
Yeah, I guess, So we got them a little bit lower than they probably should be.
Number 4, North Texas. Number 3, Navy. And, of course, those teams meet today.
Yeah, this is one of the, there are some games that I'm really looking forward to. Tennessee and Oklahoma, the Nebraska SC game. And then this game, I believe
11 o'clock on ESPN2. So coming up in a few minutes.
I'm going to try not to get a speeding ticket on the way back.
Both you and Dr. Kuhn had North Texas.
Yeah, North, and he mentioned the air raid, and that was an important part of it. Philosophically, these teams are very different in how they approach offense. The difference in the game, I believe, although I have to tell you, I'm for Navy. I'd rather see Navy win the game. But North Texas' ability to defend them, I think, gives them a slight edge in the game.
And 2-1 played each other last week. South Florida, number 2, Memphis, number 1. Memphis came from behind and had to be just a gut punch for South Florida to let that game get away. And then Memphis bounced back, and I thought a very impressive road win against Rice, who's not been a bad team this year.
Yeah, and I have to say, Memphis won last night, or 2 nights, whenever it was.
Rice.
These games, Chad, with Conference USA in particular, they're starting on Tuesday, and so it is actually screwing up my system because they're in the wrong week, but nonetheless, South Florida stumbled. If they would have secured that win last week, and I mean, it was a 3-point loss, they would have pretty much solidified themselves into the playoff game. Now, with Navy and North Texas, if North Texas beats them, Navy's going to have a loss, and so it's wide open.
So that is the group of 5 top 20. And coming up next, we'll have the Power 4 top 25 going into the first day of November as the games get bigger and bigger. So that's straight ahead here on Salt Lake College football page on 98.9 WXCO.
The Mint Cafe, serving old-fashioned American comfort food in a cozy atmosphere. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, your choice is the Mint Cafe. Call ahead for carryouts, deliveries to downtown Wausau, and catering is also available. Check them out at mintcafewausau.com.
Looking for a part for your vehicle? Look to Hilltop Auto Wrecking in Wausau. Hilltop Auto Wrecking can help you find just about any part you need for your car, truck, or SUV. They have a great selection of auto glass and tires with lots of sizes ready to go. Hilltop Auto Wrecking is always looking to buy vehicles, so if you're stuck with an older junker, they can haul it away for cash. Hilltop Auto Wrecking, family owned and operated for over 40 years at 237-934 Del Rio Road, formerly 6806 North 33rd Street, Wausau. Call 715-675-3258. Are you looking to furnish a new home, apartment, or cabin? Are you looking for quality clothing at a reasonable price? Well, if you are, be sure to stop at St. Vincent de Paul at 131 West Thomas Street in Wausau. Make them your first stop, your one-stop shop for furniture, clothing, accessories, home products, and much more. And remember, St. Vincent de Paul in Wausau is more than just a thrift store. It's a local ministry meeting the needs of our community. Your purchases benefit those in need right here at home. So shop St. Vincent de Paul at 131 West Thomas Street in Wausau, where your purchases benefit your neighbors.
Since 1997, Mountain Bay Auto Care has been serving Central Wisconsin with top quality and affordable car repair and service. With ASC certified mechanics, stop by 5702 Stella Avenue in Schofield or call 715-355-8646. The warmth of your home is about making memories with family and friends and enjoying life celebrations. At Menzner Hardwoods of Marathon, they understand the importance of bringing warmth to a place you call home. For over a century, their fifth-generation family business has been creating beautiful woodwork for the home and office, just as they have for over 130 years. Menzner Hardwoods looks forward to providing you with elegant wood products to enhance the beauty of your home or office. Visit them at menznerhardwoods.com. Menzner Hardwoods, timeless beauty for your home or office. The Eat Fresh Refresh doesn't stop at your local Wausau Subways. When the urge hits, make sure to stop by any of the 4 Wausau Subway locations at 1609 Merrill Avenue, 330 East Bridge Street, 1819 West Stewart Avenue, and 4300 Rib Mountain Drive in Walmart. Catering, remote ordering, curbside pickup, and Subway delivery all available. And make sure to use the Subway app when you need Subway. Subway with 4 Wausau locations.
Buck's Golf Shop for all of your golfing needs. Located at 903 Grand Avenue, Suite C8, Rothschild, Wisconsin, 54474 in the Bushka & Bushka Insurance Building on the east side. Specializing in Badger, Bucks, Brewer, and Hacker golf-related items. Green Tag sale is 30% off the retail price. Call 715-581-2646 or email wellsgolf@pcpros.net.
At People's State Bank, we think checking accounts are like SUVs. That's why we offer more features to fuel your lifestyle. The best part? You can open an account without leaving your driveway. Just visit bankpeoples.com today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
And welcome back. It is Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO. WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO on the Civic Media app and on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel. With Sully, I'm Chad Holmes. It's time now for the top 25 in the Power 4. And let's get right into it. We'll take groups of 3 right now as they're still behind. We'll see how it goes. Number 25, Utah, 6-2. They roughed up Dion in Colorado 53-7 last week. They have Cincinnati today. Pittsburgh still winning, and boy, they gotta be kicking themselves. They lost a game to West Virginia they never should have lost, or else they would be 7-1, but they're still 6-2 after putting up big numbers. Their offense has been rolling since they changed quarterbacks to a freshman. They will be at Stanford tonight. Houston, number 23, 7-1 after a big win against Arizona State. Willie Fritz and his team takes on Rich Rod in West Virginia today.
Yeah, a couple things here. Pat Narduzzi is one of my favorite guys to listen to in an interview because he could be playing the famous Italian school, What's the Matter You, and he'd still find a way to complain about Notre Dame having this affiliation, and they've got a big game coming up, so that's going to be fun. So I hope he keeps winning. Willie Fritz is
Your guy.
Willie, Willie finds a way no
He
matter
just wins.
He does, and he always makes a big leap between his first and second, wherever he's been. Sam Houston State, Tulane, no matter where he's at. Excellent coach. And Whittingham, we already talked about him. He's the consummate football guy. Although I did take Cincy. It took Scotty Satterfield.
22-23 powerhouse programs, but all needing some work to do to get back into the playoff picture. Number 22 is Oklahoma. They had a big loss last week against Ole Miss. Texas, boy, I mean, Mississippi State had them dead in the water, and somehow Texas came back to win in overtime. And Michigan, a solid win against Michigan State, number 20.
Yeah, and you're right about Blue Bloods. I mean, that's on who's who and anybody's wall of fame here. When you're talking the game last week, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, great game. Yeah. And after the game, Venables kind of said he had the better team. And so they said that to Kiffin when he came out, and Kiffin said, "Oh, did he?" He says, "Well, that's an interesting comment." He said, I wonder if they had a better team when I was at SC and we beat them 55-19.
Oh, brother.
And then he went through a litany of times that his team has won the game. So he kind of said, look, he's talking about my team, and I just don't think. So he came out like, I'm defending my guys. They're not better. Anyway, it was a really good game and a lot of good athletes in that one. Michigan, you alluded to it earlier. They're just sticking around. Mm-hmm. And you know what? At some point, if they keep going and they go to the shoe with these two losses, at some point, you got to think Ohio State's going to be thinking, we lost 4 in a row. So you don't know.
Yeah.
Ohio State clearly is better. And Texas, huge game today. Their season is on the line.
But they have just been, they've been dodging bullets. I mean, amazingly. I mean, to win these they won multiple overtime games, else their season will be done.
Yes, and not against the elite.
And they were down by 17 against Mississippi State last week. A winless team in the SEC. They have not been impressive, to be honest with you.
No, now I would tell you Mississippi State is really better than their record.
Levy's a good offensive mind.
But you could say to me, Sully, they haven't won a game.
Exactly. That's the bottom line.
So, Texas, big game today.
Number 19, USC. They have Nebraska's. We've talked about. Tennessee, number 18. They have Oklahoma. And number 17 is Notre Dame, and they have Boston College. So I would say Notre Dame, the easiest game. But again, 3 big programs, and they still all have work to do.
Oh, absolutely. People think the Irish are in if they win out. I'm not buying that.
They'll be in.
I know you say that.
That Notre Dame bias.
It depends. It really depends. Because the SEC, are they going to get 4 or could they get 5? Anyway, the SC Nebraska game, really a lot at stake there. And then that we mentioned Tennessee. That Tennessee-Oklahoma game.
There are a lot of elimination games, basically.
Yeah, that's better said, yes.
Cincinnati, number 16, and then again, they have a really good win against Baylor last week, and again, a chance to really, I think, make a statement today at Utah. Virginia, another team that just finds ways. They have played so many games that they could have lost. They won by inches against North Carolina last week. They have Cal on the road tonight, and then Texas Tech. They're still right there at 7-1, and they have an interesting game against K-State coming up today.
They do. The fact of the matter is, you alluded to where when you said Virginia, Chad, they've won 3 games in overtime. 3, so they are without question the most overachieving team in college football, and I think you're gonna see that. Come to, I think so. They're getting into a little better part of the schedule. When you're talking about Notre Dame, or did we already talk about them? Cincinnati, Scott Satterfield kind of got ran out of Louisville. And I am very happy for him that he's doing what he's doing. Opening loss to Nebraska, and now they rip off 7 straight.
BYU still undefeated. Boy, they came from behind to win in Ames against Iowa State. Big win last week. That was a massive win for BYU. Mizzou, they lost that game to Vanderbilt. I think they lost their quarterback as well, so that could be trouble for Eli Drinkwitz. They're number 12, and Miami is number 11, and they have an interesting game coming up against SMU.
That game is at SMU, who was in the playoffs a year ago. And the ACC is really, going to impact because, I'm always got one eye on where the Irish are. I don't think if Miami does not get into the playoff game and finishes 10-2, that puts Notre Dame behind the 8 ball because they lost to them, and the best the Irish could be is 10-2. So a lot of things to show there. Who else do we mention? Mizzou. Eli Drinkowitz is one of the best kept secrets in college football. That guy, they won the, although that might have been Barry Odom when they won the East, when the SEC was in divisions. But Missouri has been a really go-to program the last few years.
And really quick, how good is BYU? That was a great win last week at Iowa State.
Maybe better than I'm giving them credit for. I've seen them over the years get in and then kind of with better play and then kind of
the
go
Utah
away.
and Iowa State wins are huge, and those are impressive wins. I think they're making a case.
Yeah, and if they get, they're unbeaten.
Yeah.
And, people keep saying the best team in that league is Texas Tech, Joey McGuire's team. But what about, it's Kalani Sitake. You got to think about his name. He's done great work, Chad.
We got to take one more break and then come back with the top 10 coming up next on Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO.
Crab River Golf Course in Wausau is a unique 18-hole public course. The relaxed atmosphere and breathtaking Northwood scenery is sure to make your golfing day a satisfying experience. For membership information and tee times, call Crab River Golf Course at 715-675-3044.
France Propane at 1153 Foundry Street in Schofield is a local family-owned complete service company serving central Wisconsin for over 2 generations. France Propane is a value-driven company whose goal every day is to provide excellent service, maintain the highest safety, reliability in customer care, and competitive pricing. France Propane, service first, safety always. Check out France Propane at francepropane.com. For over 30 years, Webco has worked with corporations, schools, organizations on their apparel and promotional needs. Webco can handle small quantities to orders in the thousands with a fast turnaround. Webco of Wausau, 1405 West Thomas Street.
This holiday season, experience the magic of Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker, presented by Central Wisconsin School of Ballet at the Grand Theater in Wausau. Join Flare Up, the Nutcracker Prince, and the Sugar Plum Fairy for an unforgettable journey through the land of sweets. With dazzling costumes, stunning choreography, and a cast of talented dancers, it's a holiday tradition the whole family will cherish. Performances are December 6th at 1:30 and 7 p.m. and December 7th at 1 p.m. Tickets available now at the Grand Theater box office. Don't miss the wonder of the Nutcracker.
North End Pub. Cold beer, clever conversation. All stories cross-referenced for validity. If you're looking for a nice spot to hang with friends, North End Pub will do the trick. Stop in for thirst relief today. North End Pub, North 3rd Avenue, Wausau.
Big Fat Designs can give your company the cutting-edge look it needs to attract customers and stand out from the rest. From websites and print designs to logos and letterheads, Big Fat Designs is your effective and affordable marketing solution. E-commerce, online customer database, video and audio players, Big Fat Designs does it all. And the best part, you deal with someone locally to talk with, to meet with, working hands-on towards your success. Big Fat Designs in Wausau. Find out more online at bigfatdesigns.com.
Witness the difference at Newman Catholic Schools, where education is embraced by the Christian faith and students are held to a high standard of academic excellence. Schedule a tour and learn what it means to be a Newman Catholic Cardinal. Visit newmancatholicschools.com to learn more.
It's Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO. Top 10, and these are some of the teams right now that are in the mix for the college football playoff, and we'll go groups of 2 here because, again, we're running out of time. But Louisville, number 10, and Jeff Brom is really doing the job, 6-1. They have Virginia Tech on the road coming up next. That could be a little bit of a not an easy place to go. And then Vandy, number 9, again, boy, when do we think of Vandy in the top 10? But that was a huge win against Mizzou. And boy, if they go into Austin and win, That would just be massive.
Well, and I always say Clark Leah because his name is spelled Ellie, but it's actually pronounced Lee. So
Yeah.
we're gonna
To
start
get into the
getting
top
there.
10, you got to get that name
You
right.
do. You cannot be mispronouncing those names. Anyway, with Louisville, I'm surprised Jeff Brom's name's not being mentioned more because this guy is one of the best coaches in the country. But that's his hometown. That's where he went to school, played quarterback there. And Vandy, we've talked about them. Huge game today.
Ole Miss, boy, that was a massive win. I think that was a signature win for Lane Kiffin to go into Norman and beat OU last week, 34-26. They are 7-1, hosting South Carolina, a team that had Alabama on the ropes last week. And
They did.
let them slip away. I mean, look like they had that game won. And then Georgia, another SEC team, is number 7, and they do have that Florida game coming up today.
Yeah, say what you want about Florida, and there's a lot of things there that are in disarray, but not their roster and not their talent. Maybe their focus, maybe their commitment, to when things go wrong to step up. They may be growing fingers down there right now. I don't know. The bottom line is this game, Florida's dangerous. Ole Miss, South Carolina is dangerous. Shane Beamer, that guy's on the edge. He's always ready to go. So some really good games there in the SEC.
Ahead of Georgia is Georgia Tech at number 6, undefeated after beating Syracuse. They are at North Carolina State. Again, not the easiest game coming up. Then number 5 is Oregon. Not the most impressive win against Wisconsin. They are on a bye, but then they have Iowa coming up next.
They do. And so one of the things that I got to tell you I am very interested in is, will this be the first time, Chad, since we've been doing this show, that Georgia Tech will be favored against Georgia? That's good. I'm very anxious to see the line on that game. And, Oregon seems to struggle with Wisconsin. There's something about what they do that just slows them down. And so they've got some work to get, anybody that thinks they're in better think again, because Iowa is very dangerous, one of the best defensive programs.
And it's at Iowa City.
And so they're going to be ready. And then you have got to control SC.
Alabama is number 4, Indiana number 3. 2 different types of wins last week. Alabama, they should have lost that game, in fact, against South Carolina. South Carolina let them off the hook. And then Indiana was all over UCLA. Alabama off this week, and Indiana at Maryland.
Yeah, when you're talking about Mendoza, he is playing at such a high level.
Yeah.
And so is Simpson, the quarterback at Alabama.
Yeah.
2 of the best quarterbacks in the country were not being talked about in the preseason as they are now. And so much better to be talking about them now. And these 2 guys are both getting it done.
I've said during the course of this show that Ohio State, top-ranked team in the country, undefeated. Sully's college football page has them at number 2.
Well, we talked about this over time, and it's a win-loss ranking, not a power rank or power rating. And last week, people say, well, they're very dismissive of LSU. I would say, look at their roster. Granted, there were things going on with Kelly, and Kelly is his own reality.
And I should mention Texas A&M number 1. I just said Ohio State because you're talking now about Texas A&M. Texas A&M is number 1 because I never mentioned that. And you're talking about LSU. People are probably thinking, well, what's going on with LSU and Ohio State? So number 2, Ohio State, number 1, Texas A&M.
Thanks, Jen. I'm glad one of us knows what I'm talking about.
I started with Ohio State. I was going to go to Texas A&M, but you jump right to Texas A&M.
Yeah, well, the reason they're number 2 is because of what they have done lately. And I would say Ohio State, I don't think it's debatable that they have the best defense in the country.
And often, real quickly, people say the toughest place to win is on a Saturday night at Death Valley, and that's what Texas A&M did by 24 points.
Yeah, they went into that second half and shut them out. They were losing at halftime.
I know. That's massive second half.
And, it's how you lose games, I mean, that second half, they look like a junior varsity team. When I say they, I mean LSU. Or is A&M that good and they made them look like that?
Is A&M, if you were to pick, do you think they're going to win in the national championship right now?
No, I think Ohio State is. But I think right now they're where they should be.
They've earned the number one slot.
I think so.
And that's a good way to put it, because I think that sometimes people get caught up in those numbers. They don't move them no matter what, as long as they win. No, you have to take all the information into account. And I think every week start over again.
Yeah, and we should mention that Tuesday we're going to get the first college football ranking is coming out Tuesday. And then, Chad, because right now ours is as good as the APs. Now it gets real with this. So we'll start using the college football playoff
It is
rankings.
time for kickoff. Sully, enjoy the games, and we'll catch you next week.
All right, thanks for the help, Chad.
That
Very
is
good.
Sully's college football page. Join us again next week from 9 to 11 right here on 98.9 WXCO, online and at youtube.com.
WXCO 1230 AM, W255DN Wausau, streaming at bullfallsradio.com.